This 39 Dunedin News Bulletin proudly brought to you in association with CAMPBELL'S Menswear.
Tonight on 39 Dunedin News, research reveals the dangers secondary school pupils face during sports days and is prompting calls for change. A big win for a city hotel thanks to a multi-million-dollar refit, and it's expected to inspire others. And the cigarettes themselves in for a less appealing makeover, why a local professor is pushing the idea. Good evening, Dunedin. I'm Rebecca Dupree. There are concerns about local youth being exposed to dangerous levels of sun without adequate protection. A recent study is highlighting poor practice at sports days involving Dunedin secondary school pupils and staff, and that has researchers calling for change.
Pinpointing the risk of sun exposure, these academics are worried about their recent findings that sun protection is sorely lacking at local secondary sports events. That's based on 10 athletic days held in the city last summer.
The sun protection practices in secondary schools are very poor, so there's quite a lot of work that needs to be done, and we think that needs to be done not at an individual level but at a sort of policy, environmental, institutional level, so that we're not trying to change the behaviour of individual students but just sort of policies within schools.
Only 3% of the students wore sun protective hats while waiting to compete, and only a quarter of adult supervisors were similarly covered. Half the schools involved provided sunscreen, but the sports grounds themselves were mostly without shade. Researchers say that's something the Dunedin City Council could address.
We definitely think that that's something the council could address, and that would benefit not only students, current students, but students for years and years to come.
These academics work in the university's Cancer Society Social and Behavioural Research Unit. They've also just studied sun protection habits within 211 secondary schools nationwide. The average institution scored points on less than half the different measures involved.
There's definitely room for improvement, yes, because at a score of 11, the total that they could achieve, the median score was 4.6. So they didn't reach a pass mark, if you want to look at it that way. But we don't really want to mark schools down and blame schools for things that are happening, because we think they're under-resourced.
A significant amount of adolescent sun exposure happens at school when ultraviolet radiation is at its peak. It's something these researchers want the wider community to acknowledge and address in the prevention of skin cancer. Rosie Mannins, 39 Dunedin News.
The Otago Community Trust is pledging to donate a further $6 million over the next 12 months. The Trust gives money to community groups and organisations during several funding rounds throughout its financial year. It's prioritising grants for projects involving house insulation, cycleways, youth health and wellbeing and rural health. Already the Trust has spent $1.2 million on those initiatives this financial year to date. The organisation has almost $260 million invested. Since its inception in the mid-1990s, it's donated more than $145 million. The multi-million-dollar transformation of the city's former chief post office has been awarded a top heritage prize. The recently opened Distinction Hotel was honoured last night at the Dunedin Heritage Reuse Awards, and organisers say the project will serve as inspiration for other developers.
An award-winning building, years in the making. It's taken more than $15 million to transform the once derelict Chief Post Office, an achievement that's been celebrated at the annual Heritage Reuse Awards. But those behind the new Distinction Hotel on Princess Street say the development wasn't without its challenges.
You've got to take the building for what it is for a start, and then strip it back and see where you can enhance what's already there, restore, and then apply the modern parts to the building basically to complement what's there.
The building was on Opus Architecture's books for over 10 years before construction began in 2013. Now it's taken the top prize, award organisers say the hotel will serve as an inspiration for others keen to undertake similar renovations.
What we're trying to do is celebrate the reuse of heritage buildings in the city. It's really showcase what the work is that's going on out there and what the possibilities are for other owners to look at and be inspired by these projects.
This is the 6th year the awards have been held, recognising work in several categories, including interior design as well as earthquake strengthening. Hazelton says the number of local restoration projects is ever increasing, and that's good for the city's image.
Dunedin's built heritage is worthy of preserving, mostly because it really gives a great definition of something different to the city. You know, it's a defining factor of why Dunedin is different than other cities around the country.
He's hoping more people will want to embrace the city's heritage when building or renovating. This year's top award winner says Dunedin's perfect for that kind of overhaul.
I think Dunedin's a leader easily. It's got rich history and buildings, and I think it's got a great platform to keep moving forward, so absolutely.
Work to restore another Princess Street site was also acknowledged. The Standard building was one of 6 properties recognised, winning awards for earthquake strengthening and interior design. Ruby McAndrew, 39, Dunedin News.
Police say thieves in the Port Chalmers area have capitalised on school closures over the Easter break. A shed at Pirakanui School was broken into during the long weekend when almost $1,000 worth of goods were stolen from inside. One of the school's lawnmowers was taken, along with a full container of gas. Officers say a ride-on mower inside the shed was left untouched. Another property on Mehiwaka Station Road was also burgled over the weekend. In that case, a homemade red and white flag was reported stolen. A local researcher is pushing for changes in the way cigarettes are being marketed in New Zealand. The University of Otago professor has found people are deterred from smoking when the appearance of cigarette sticks are altered, and she has strong ideas for legislators.
Colour meets a common killer. As legislation for plain cigarette packaging goes through government, local researchers are seeing how else they can make the habit less appealing.
We thought it's a really timely opportunity to look at how we might be able to not only replicate what's been done in Australia, but actually extend the policy. So one of the obvious things to look at is not just the object that people display, which is the package, but the object that they consume.
A marketing team designed 4 different test sticks with unattractive colours and graphic warnings. More than 300 smokers were surveyed, and the results showed that the altered cigarettes were less likely to be chosen. Hook says the normal whiteness of cigarettes connotates cleanliness and purity, and altering that can remove their attractiveness.
For smokers who are trying to distance themselves from the harm that smoking causes, that's a very reassuring colour. By replacing that colour with something that looks dirty and tainted and unattractive, it reduces that distance between what people are doing and how they want to see themselves.
1 in 5 New Zealanders smoke, and the habit kills 5,000 Kiwis each year. Hook comes up with recommendations that she believes should be considered alongside the implementation of plain packaging. They include salient off-putting messages on packets, the removal of brand names and describing terms, and more noticeable quitline information.
I think we should be implementing the dissuasive sticks, which we've just been talking about. That's what people actually put inside their mouths and what they consume. So I think if we make the object of consumption as unappealing as possible, then that's going to have a profound effect on smoking uptake.
Hook is the co-director of Aspire 2025, a group of researchers aiming to eradicate smoking in New Zealand. Their latest paper was published in the British medical journal Tobacco Control. Annabelle Dick, 39, Dunedin News.
Still to come on 39 Dunedin News, cameras at the stadium reveal new information about human interaction, and rural health gets an airing locally for the first time in more than a decade.
Every reason, every season, we're proud to dress the region. Alex Campbell Menswear, it fits.
Garage Dunedin, delivering quality stylish garage doors in Dunedin for over 15 years. New doors, replacement doors, repairs and maintenance are all part of Garage quality service. Garage Dunedin offers a full range of modern quality doors to suit any home. Come visit the team at 553 Kaikoura Valley Road. Visit www.garage.co.nz or call us on 488 5676.
New Zealand Beeswax Limited are the quintessential beeswax, woodware and beekeeping suppliers. From the amateur beekeeper to the commercial operator, New Zealand Beeswax Limited has the quantity to meet your needs. For great prices, great service New Zealand-wide, contact New Zealand Beeswax Limited on 03 693 9189 or visit www.beeswax.co.nz.
Pallet fires are growing in popularity in Otago, with people who want a clean and efficient form of home heating. The sight of a burning flame without the problems of chopping, stacking and carting wood around is a winner. Pallet fires, so easy, so efficient.
Grandad loved his family and surfing, in that order. He taught me to surf, and we spent a lot of time in the water together over the years. When he died, I strapped the camera to the nose of his old board and filmed the paddle out at St. Clair. Gillian's played the video on the big screen at his funeral. Grandad would have loved having everyone come out one last surf with him.
Gillian's Funeral Services, helping families celebrate the lives of their loved ones for generations. Gillians.co.nz.
Mosgiel Mowers Plus can help you with products to make your garden maintenance jobs easier. Lawn mowers, ride-ons, chainsaws, line trimmers. Sales and service are our specialty. Mosgiel Mowers Plus. Phone 489 3572 22B Gordon Road, Mosgiel.
The team at Caltex North care more about you than just putting fuel in your tank. They care about you and your family. At the Caltex Valley Workshop, the skilled service team care about your safety, extending the life of your car and helping you live more economically. There's a range of modern equipment to give comprehensive warrant of fitness checks and servicing to your vehicle. Come visit your only local in North East Valley and receive 10% off when you book your warrant and service together. That's your friendly Caltex Valley Workshop, 134 North Road, or book online at caltexvalley.co.nz.
For professional, reliable and approachable service where your dream kitchen design can become an affordable reality, contact the team at Kitchens for Less. Call 455 9973 or visit us online.
Oui, tu vas voir Marjolaine et le maquillage. D'accord, ok.
Ecrotech Limited have been supplying beekeeping equipment and honey products in New Zealand for over 100 years. A specialist manufacturer of hiveware and plastic products for the beekeeping industry. They are the leading supplier of beekeeping equipment nationwide. For all your beekeeping needs, visit ecrotech.co.nz or call 0800 117766.
Tune in on Thursday for Motorsport Night on Dunedin Television.
Welcome back. All Dick Smith stores are being closed within the next month following the receiver's failure to sell the multinational chain. The company went belly up at the start of the year, owing about 430 million New Zealand dollars. About 3,000 workers, including almost 500 nationwide, are losing their jobs. Some are being offered redundancy as individual store closure dates are confirmed. Branches throughout New Zealand are expected to shut by the end of April after the Australian franchises. There are 2 Dick Smith retail outlets in Dunedin. And on that note, let's take a look at today's markets. NZX 50 has closed the day up 38 points. It's now at 6,752. The FTSE is up 97 points. A unique study on human interaction has been conducted at the city's covered sports stadium. Researchers mounted cameras to the stadium roof to monitor social behaviour of participants below. And Professor Damon Halberstad of the University of Otago Psychology Department is here to tell us more. Good evening.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Now, what were you looking at with this project?
I would describe this as a proof of concept study, where the concept was maybe to try to turn our great large stadium into the world's largest social science laboratory. So, I mean, I'm a social psychologist by training, and social psychologists like to study human behavior, but there's always a trade-off, and the trade-off is between experimental control and real life. So, you know, if you want to make some conclusions about why people behave the way they do, you have to somehow control the environment that they're in. And that's not that easy to do when you're just observing them in real life. But as soon as you bring them into the laboratory, then you sort of lose the real life aspect, and people criticize that and say it doesn't really mimic what people do in real life. So the stadium potentially offers the best of both of these worlds, because it's a huge place where people can interact more or less naturally, but yet we can still have some control over the environment that they're in.
Can you give us a summary of the findings?
Yes, well, there are a lot, because we worked with Animation Research Limited, who did the video on this. We put a camera in the very top of the stadium. People weren't aware that they were aware they were being filmed, but they weren't aware that the camera was up above, and we were monitoring their movements. And we measured, we took measurements of where they were in the stadium 30 times per second for an entire hour for about 150 people. So that's a ton of data. One of the findings was simply looking at what the size of groups are that people form. It turns out we saw about 200 groups form from we had a large crowd, and we saw them form smaller groups. And the average size was about 6 people. That's already an interesting finding in itself, because people believe that group size depends on context, but no one has really seen what the group size will be if you take that context away. So just all things being equal, people seem to want to get into groups of 6 people. We found that people segregated themselves on the basis of physical attractiveness and gender more than you would expect by chance. We found that women tended to be in the middle of groups more than you would expect. They were closest to the geometric center of groups. We found that people's embeddedness in groups, so how close they were to other people in the group, predicted how much they would cooperate with the group. And in fact, the people who stood more closely to others in their groups tended to be less cooperative later.
Were you surprised by the findings?
I would say no, not necessarily. I mean, you have to be surprised, you have to have an expectation, and since this has never been done before, I didn't have any expectations. I mean, but we did discover a lot of things that I find interesting. I mean, I think the findings on attractiveness are predicted from other research that social psychologists have done. Attractive people tend to be judged as more popular, more competent, more interesting, so it's not that surprising that people would gravitate toward them in a group context like this.
Has there been international interest in your research?
There has. I know you've got the local scoop, but CNN wants to do a piece on it. There was something in Bloomberg on this. Actually, what I think is the most interesting is really the stadium angle myself, but other news outlets seem to be more interested in the fact that attractive women are in the middle of groups. So,
are you planning more research around this?
Yes. Animation Research has agreed to do another study with us. I just need a little bit more funding. We've got there's almost an endless number of ideas that you can experiment with in the stadium context. So it's really just a matter of creativity and funding.
Absolutely. Well, with a bit of worldwide appeal, which will be brought to you by this show and CNN, of course, the funding will roll in, surely. Jamin Halberstad from the University of Otago, thank you so much for your time.
All right, thank you.
After the break on 39 Dunedin News, some big rural health issues are about to be discussed, and we'll find out why a local student is recommending changes to fight match fixing.
Sir Bob Charles, New Zealand's greatest golfer and still going strong.
I'm sure that Sportsville was a contributing factor to my success, and I'll continue to use it.
Sir Bob Charles Sportsville, a product so good he puts his name to it.
Well, I believe Sportsville helps maintain your quality of life.
Now being used by active men and women globally to support strength and mobility.
It works for me.
Sir Bob Charles Sportsville in the new all-black pack. Call now for the Sportsville special, 0800 502 402.
Pregnant? Need to talk? 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Pregnancy counselling services are here to help. It's free, it's confidential. Call us now on 0800 773 462.
Ecro Tech Limited have been supplying beekeeping equipment and honey products in New Zealand for over 100 years. A specialist manufacturer of hiveware and plastic products for the beekeeping industry. They are the leading supplier of beekeeping equipment nationwide. For all your beekeeping needs, visit ecrotech.co.nz or call 0800 117766.
Mobility Scooters Otago. Mobility Scooters, new and used, electric manual wheelchairs, strollers and walkers. Free home demonstration and delivery. Call Tony on 03 455 2875 or visit our showroom, 211 King Edward Street, opposite Westpac.
New Zealand Beeswax Limited are the quintessential beeswax, woodware and beekeeping suppliers. From the amateur beekeeper to the commercial operator, New Zealand Beeswax Limited has the quantity to meet your needs. For great prices, great service New Zealand-wide, contact New Zealand Beeswax Limited on 03 693 9189 or visit www.beeswax.co.nz.
The team at Caltex North care more about you than just putting fuel in your tank. They care about you and your family. At the Caltex Valley Workshop, the skilled service team care about your safety, extending the life of your car and helping you live more economically. There's a range of modern equipment to give comprehensive warranty fitness checks and servicing to your vehicle. Come visit your only local in North East Valley and receive 10% off when you book your warrant and service together. That's your friendly Caltex Valley Workshop, 134 North Road, or book online at caltexvalley.co.nz.
Every reason, every season, we're proud to dress the region. Alex Campbell Menswear, it fits.
It's generally not a job that we can't get a door out and in a day.
It's important to make sure you get a good design because you're going to be in it for the rest of your life.
There's no schemes that are wrong when it's a personal choice thing, but some do look better than others.
Here's something else to look forward to sinking your teeth into every weekend with the Otago Daily Times, the Weekend Mix, your guide to what's hot in fashion, entertainment, food and more. New weekend magazine in your ODT. Pick up your copy this Saturday.
Welcome back. Hundreds of delegates from around the country are gathering in Dunedin to learn more about rural health. It's the first time the yearly National Rural Health Conference has been held in the city for more than a decade, and several of the event's notable guest speakers are set to tackle some big issues.
Setting up for a busy schedule. The National Rural Health Conference is kicking off with more than 500 attendees from around the country settling in Dunedin for the next few days. It's a chance for delegates to discuss the unique issues within the sector.
Obviously there are things like isolation of communities, distance from specialist health services. We have issues around recruitment, retention and retirement. So we have an ageing GP workforce, for example, and we need to be able to replace those GPs, many of whom are getting close to retirement age, with new doctors.
The conference is in its 25th year and includes an exhibition space for businesses to provide information on a range of services. Olsen says it's about facilitating as many discussions as possible in relation to rural health.
There is an area that focuses on mental well-being, also for practitioners as well. And we have quite a rounded program really, so it does focus on medical or clinical, medical and nursing, but we also have community streams as well, and we have management streams too. So we try and cover off as many topics as we can. That's reflected in the keynote speakers.
Presenters include Health Minister Jonathan Coleman as well as local woman Leslie Elliott, who will speak about domestic violence. Olsen's anticipating several high-profile topics will arise during those sessions, including falling dairy prices and suicide rates in farming communities. He's hoping attendees discuss ideas and concerns to strengthen the sector and support those within it.
The program is dedicated to making sure that people from all rural areas who come to attend go away with some CME, which is continuing medical education, but also get to network with people that they probably don't see that often.
Several aspects of the conference revolve around making the rural lifestyle an attractive option for graduate students working in medical fields. Organisers are expecting almost 100 students to attend and learn more about their options. Ruby McAndrew, 39, Dunedin News.
A local PhD student is pushing for more preventive measures to be put in place around match fixing in sport. The University of Otago scholar has received international acclaim for his work on the issue, and he says New Zealand is faring better than other nations.
Getting recognition for a global problem. This PhD student is looking over an award he's won after completing a study into match fixing. He looked at sports betting and organisational responsibility for match corruption.
Matches are actually manipulated by players on the spot, but on the other hand, it is institutionalized sports betting that initially opens up and constantly offers the potential for match fixing.
Tak won the International Sociology of Sport Association Graduate Paper Award for his study. His paper is based on the football match fixing scandal in South Korea's K-League in 2011. He says match fixing is a menace to the integrity of sport and it needs to be addressed.
If this is not dealt with properly and not fixed, then the future of sport and meaning of sport is in doubt.
He says match fixing is more prominent in popular team-based sports that have ties to betting. Although local sports people have been linked to fixing scandals, he says New Zealand sports and leagues do well compared to others.
Players' awareness might have increased a lot, so in that sense I think compared to other contexts or other countries or sports leagues, I think New Zealand is relatively a bit safe.
Tak will travel to Budapest this June to present his paper to the International Sociology of Sport Association's World Congress. Annabelle Dick, 39, Dunedin News.
And now recapping tonight's top stories on 39 Dunedin News. Secondary school pupils are not being adequately protected from the sun during sports days, prompting researchers to call for changes. The multi-million-dollar Distinction Hotel redevelopment has taken top honours at this year's Dunedin Heritage Reuse Awards. And a local professor is hoping cigarettes are altered to make them less attractive following research into the deadly habit. Well, it's time now to find out what's going to be in Friday's Otago Daily Times. It's rolled around quick, and Barry Stewart's here to tell us.
Friday, April the 1st.
Oh, is it a joke? That it's Friday?
No, I'm just saying it's Friday, April the 1st.
So there'll be something special on the front page of tomorrow's paper.
There's always something special on the front page of the paper, Rebecca,
well,
but I'll give you a little rundown of some of the things we do have. Warning on the future of funding for joint replacement surgery at Otago, so that's an interesting story. King's High School have put out their enrolment zone for consultations, so they've drawn a map as to where you are eligible to go to the school. Brass Monkey Rally was under some threat as to whether it would continue. Well, it is, so that's good news. And big sports lift out, we previewed Southern Steel season and the Highlanders match, again tomorrow night against the Force, and lots of other things, but specifically the Black Caps losing the semi-final. The semi-final curse, we've lost the T20 semi-final.
Details in tomorrow's ODT. Thanks, Barry. Time now for local weather.
This weather report proudly brought to you in association with Silverhorn Sportsville.
Here's our city view. It's taken of a windsock on a railway light tower. At 3 o'clock today, the Central City recorded 17, 19 for both the Gardens and the Tyree. In Dunedin tonight, high cloud increasing with an overnight low of 11. Cloudy tomorrow with a period of rain and fresh northerlies becoming fine late in the day. Winds easing 18 degrees. Into the Otago Pellet Fire's tidal and fishing information. High tide tomorrow morning is at 18 past 11. Low tide follows at 7 past 6. Fishing conditions look reasonably good tomorrow. Good luck. That's local news. We'll see you tomorrow. Good night.
This 39 Dunedin News Bulletin proudly brought to you in association with Alex Campbell's Menswear.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.